Herring are the base of the whole food chain. The herring take the plankton and eat it, and then everything else comes and eats herring.
Herring are an iconic species that feed so many animals at various stages of its life cycle. It's really the heart and soul of the ecosystem off the west coast. It's a very short trip between herring to the southern resident killer whale. Herring feed Chinook, and Chinook feed the southern resident killer whale. So to protect the southern resident killer whale, we should be thinking about protecting the herring.
We found a way to enhance herring in Squamish by wrapping creosote pilings with protective materials, and we got virtually 100% hatch-out rate on the herring eggs. So I thought, well, maybe I should go back and take a look at Falls Creek Fisherman's Wharf and see, and sure enough, here's dead herring eggs on creosote pilings 4 years in a row. So then I thought, well, why don't we try doing something down here? This was all eelgrass beds originally. It was a Squamish village called Senakw, and they made their fortune on herring coming in and catching them and smoking them and trading them up and down the coast. At some point, the federal government decided this would be a good place for a fisherman's wharf, and dredged all the eelgrass beds out to make it deeper for the boats. And yet the herring still kept coming back, and all they had to spawn on was creosote pilings, which killed 90% of their eggs, and just a small remnant was surviving. Now that we're putting nets in for them to spawn on, the run is coming back dramatically. Last year we hatched out about 1 billion eggs, and this year it should jump up quite dramatically from there even. This is our 7th year. First 2 years we didn't get very good results because we were just wrapping the pilings. And because there's so much surface oil, as the tide would go up and down, the upper half of the eggs would die. Now that we learned to put the nets in the water and keep the eggs underwater, 100% hatch out and just about all of them. This net lets water through. When these nets are hanging in the water, the oxygen passes into each of these eggs, so your survival rate is virtually 100%. There's no other way that we've seen that you can get such a high survival rate. So these nets are just perfect, and they're reusable for many years, hopefully. A little expensive to start with, but volunteers, people have given us money to buy these nets. Towards the end of the year, the bigger herring are going to be coming back, and they carry way more eggs, and they're going to overspawn it. For that reason, we want to see if we can get permission to transplant some of these eggs into Cole Harbor, where the herring used to go up to. If we can transplant them into there, there's actually eelgrass beds still that they can spawn on, so we don't have to keep making more and more and more nets. In Squamish before that, we brought the herring run back, and in 6 years the run came back so strong there were probably 500 dolphins came in to the harbor. Were just massacring our poor herring. The whole town of Squamish was down there watching our herring getting eaten by dolphins, hundreds of them, and the dolphins were laughing and playing as they killed them all. And then over the horizon came 60 orcas to the rescue. They just wanged into those dolphins. They smashed them with their tails, broke their backs. They circled around and just chewed them up with big smiles on their faces. We suddenly realized there's a whole big food chain here that we've been missing. It used to be like this probably 100 years ago, but by putting marinas in where the herring used to spawn, it killed off dozens and dozens of herring runs, right? We've just been lucky enough to find a way to bring them back. It shows that we're just a tiny little part of the whole big world food chain. If we can help it out, all the better.